Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the morning session of today's conference. My name is Mark Dunne, and I'm a growth companies reporter at Shares magazine. I'm also the head of research for AJ Bell, which is our parent group. So I work for one company. I've got two jobs, and bizarrely, I've got three bosses. I'm not too sure how that works, but there you go. It's always fun when it comes to asking for time off, I can tell you. Now, I'm going to be kicking off this session with a chat about investing in pharmaceuticals, and then we'll hear from some of the companies presenting today. They'll hear their story. Now, before we start, and I'm sure this won't be the only time you hear this today, I've got to read you a disclaimer, so please bear with me. The seminars today are intended for educational purposes only, and as such are not a solicitation, endorsement, or recommendation to make an investment based on the contents of these seminars. Where investment types are mentioned, please be aware that there are other options available. Past performance is not necessarily a guide to future performance. Opinions expressed in these seminars are those of the presenters and not the event organisers, which are Shares and the London Stock Exchange. The event organisers accept no liability for any losses caused by the use of this information. If there is any doubt over the suitability of a particular investment, then you should seek independent advice. As there is a huge amount to get through, there will be no time for Q&As after. You might well have some questions for presenters, so please go and talk to them in the exhibition hall. Quite a few of them do have stands here today. As you will see that we are videoing all the presentations today, and these will be available on the event's website, and we will email you all to let you know when those have gone live. One final point, if I please ask you to switch off all your mobile phones, just as a courtesy to those who are speaking. Thank you. Right, now I'm here today to explain to you this morning about how to spot a pharmaceutical winner. Now, this isn't one of those get-rich-quick type seminars that you see advertised in the back of newspapers. It's usually involving property. You know, if I could spot a winner in the pharmaceuticals market, I wouldn't be standing here today on a Saturday morning talking to you all. Now, I know that isn't a great endorsement, but I think it just goes to show how risky investing in this industry is. And what I'm trying to do is give you a few pointers that will help you in your research when looking at these particular type of companies. So, hi, I'm Mark. I'm not a scientist. I'm a journalist by trade, but I've got this great theory. I think I've worked out how to cure cancer, kill it stone dead. I don't have any proof for you, any research. I've not done any tests yet. I've not even been in a science lab since I was at school, let alone worked in the pharmaceutical industry. But believe me, I think I've got the answer. Now, this is a market that generates $100 billion in sales, $100 billion of sales revenue every year. So more and more people being diagnosed. So all I'm asking for, £5,000 each investment to get your hands on $100 billion worth of revenues. Any takers? £5,000, come on. No? Good. It's very tempting, isn't it, when someone's waving numbers like $100 billion in your face to get excited. And, you know, for those in the pharmaceutical industry that do get it right, you know, the offers and rewards can be huge. US developer Gilead Sciences, they sold, for example, $10.3 billion worth of their hepatitis C drug, Sovaldi, in 2014. I mean, this is the pull of the industry for investors, and the drivers are strong, and the need for new and better drugs are there. One factor, of course, is the rise in chronic illnesses and diseases. These are long-lasting conditions where there's no cure for. One example, diabetes. It's grown fast. Diagnosis of the condition has soared by about 60% in the past 10 years. That's according to a charity, Diabetes UK. So that's 1.2 million people more today that have the disease than had it in 2005. This doesn't include the more than 500,000 people in the UK that are estimated to be living with it without being diagnosed. You know, there are probably some people in this room, it's not nice to think about it, but this is the way the research is pointing. You know, doctors spend 10% of their prescription budget on treatments for these conditions. That's around 130,000 prescriptions a day just for that one condition. Another driver is the emerging markets. People over there, they've got improved living standards, access to more money, they're buying drugs, and of course, along with that will come some Western-style diseases and illnesses, such as smoking-related, and again, diabetes. So the pharmaceutical industry will be worth $1.3 trillion by 2020. That's according to PwC, which is an accountancy firm. Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Russia, and Turkey will account for a fifth of that $1.3 trillion by that date. That gives you something to think about. But, of course, the main driver for some pharmaceutical investment case is this lot here. Pensioners, loads of them, and their numbers are growing. By 2030, almost 22% of the UK's population will be aged over 65 or over, according to Moody's, which is a rating agency. That's up from 18.1% today. And pensioners today, they're wealthier than their parents were. They don't want to sit in a chair or have day tripped to Blackpool. You know, they want to get out, they want to be more active, they want to enjoy their retirement, make the most of it. They've worked hard enough for it. The opportunity and the market drivers are there, but so are the risks, and they are just as high as the rewards. Now, getting a drug or medicine from under a microscope in a science lab and onto a doctor's prescription pad is not for those with low appetites for risk or those looking for a get-quick-rich deal. As we've seen with Gilead, the rewards for companies developing the next wonder drugs can be high, but these companies, especially the smaller ones, carry huge risks for investors. It takes years and tens, if not hundreds of millions of pounds of investors' cash before evidence is recorded that a treatment is safe, it works, and is more effective than an existing drug. If it doesn't achieve these three targets, the likelihood is that you will lose your cash. You know, it's no laughing matter for investors. The market is dominated by smaller players, and one piece of negative news flow could lead to huge paper losses. Now, this is old data, but I believe it's still relevant. Only one biodrug in 10 that entered clinical trials between 2003 and 2011 reached the market. The effect on companies that fail are clear from this chart here. Now, this is a company, it's a medicine redeveloper called Oxford Pharmaceuticals. Now, you see down here, right at the end of June, it dived 20% in a single day. And that was because clinical trials proved that it's a tablet of it to treat gastrointestinal tract irritation didn't reduce the condition to the level expected. So in plain English, it didn't work. Investing in a larger company doesn't offer that much protection either. GlaxoSmithKline, I'm sure you've all heard of them. The largest drug maker by market cap. I think last time I looked, it was fifth on the FTSE 100. It had a respiratory drug that failed in clinical trials just last week. Okay, it only fell by 1%, but it still doesn't offer that much protection. So, the big question here for you today is, what to look for in a company that has no product on the market, no revenues, yet needs a shed load of cash? Well, there are a few things to look at. One, the quality of management. Going back to my failed sales pitch earlier, I have no experience, but if I'd have worked in a science lab carrying out research and development projects for 10 years, would that have encouraged I might know what I was talking about? Probably not. I mean, is that enough experience? I don't think so. Look for a company that's got management that have done it before, taken a drug to market. We certainly get the institutions interesting when they need to tap them for some more money. You know, experienced management is not just about success, it's also about avoiding failure. You know, they could spot something in the process which needs to change or decide that a project needs binning altogether. You know, they've been there, done that, seen it, they know what works. That could save time and money. Another way of de-risking my proposition would be to have some form of research, some hint that the product is possible, could work and that it is safe. And then the strategy. How they plan to get that drug to market. It might be a wonderful drug, they might have all the science to work to prove it works, but how are they going to get it from A to B? It's not as easy as walking across the road. There's a company called Synergion, it's a respiratory company. It develops drugs for asthma and smoking-related illnesses. Now, it's got 2 drugs in clinical trials at the moment, and its strategy to get them to the market is simple. It gets someone else to do it for them. It identifies a novel drug target, progresses them through early clinical stage trials, and then licenses them to a larger pharmaceutical to fund their route to market. Now, AstraZeneca, it's bought the rights to Synergion's 2 drugs, and which it will give the company milestone payments and royalties on any potential sales if it does get to market. So, Synergion there, it's a small company, and it's very expensive to take a drug through the clinical trials process, and they've adopted a strategy that worked for others in the past. Okay? You know, these drugs will still generate cash for them, even though the majority will go to AstraZeneca. So when it comes to looking at a company's strategy for getting its product over the finish line, also see if the management have got some regulatory guidance. You know, have they sat down with the regulator and found out exactly what they want, what sort of tests they want, what they want to test for? You know, it'd be a hell of a waste of time and money if after years of researching 1,000 people with your drug, you turn up and the regulator says, no, sorry, not that bit over there. I want you to test that bit over there. You go right back to the drawing board and do it all again. So look for some regulatory guidance. There's actually a German skin cancer treatment company called Biofrontera. They're listed in the UK. It's got a drug that's currently available in the EU. So if you go to a doctor, he could prescribe it for you. The company's waiting for approval in the US and Israel. Very good. But the good thing about this company, the management aren't sitting around thinking, well, you know what, the regulator in Europe said it's fine, so I'm sure that Israel and the United States will follow suit. They're being a bit proactive. They're sitting down with them. They're speaking to them on the phone to them. They're having meetings with them just to make sure the research is exactly what those regulators will want. Because remember, different people in Europe than are to the Middle East and the United States. So they're a very, very proactive approach. Then look at money. How much have they got? How are they going to fund that drug's development? Is it enough? When will it run out? If it does run out, how are they going to get more money when needed? Well, these are important. Going back to the Synergian case, it had 9.6 million cash at the end of 2014. It burns up to £200,000 a month. So if there are no unexpected expenses, its cash will run out in the second half of 2018. Now, its drugs are not expected to hit the market until 2022, and the milestone payments to come in from that. So there's no immediate need to raise new cash. But if it does need to tap new and existing shareholders, it will dilute the size of your shareholdings. And of course, you get lower access to all important revenues when they finally do flow in. Let's look at the market. How many sufferers are there? What other treatments are there in the market? What market share is the company you are backing likely to take? How much can it charge for its little pills? It's all good for the investment case. So just some main points for you now to consider when doing your research. Look at the quality of management. Have they done it before? Or are they specialists in a particular field? Do they know what they're talking about? Look at the evidence, the research. Is it pointing to the fact that this treatment could work? Is it more effective than existing products on the market? It's no point getting a drug to market if a drug are already there, people have already got on their handbags, actually works faster than yours, is more effective than yours, and needs a lower dosage than yours, because quite frankly, not many people are going to buy yours. Strategy. How they plan to get that candidate to the market? As we discussed, it's not as easy as walking across the road with a little bag of pills. Look, I've got the answer. There's a whole process, regulatory process to go through. And of course, it's very expensive. And of course, money. Will it last until it gets to the next revenue generating event? It's important. You've got no money, you can't pay the bills, you can't operate. And the market, of course. How many tablets could it potentially sell and how much for? And even if you do find a company that fits with all these points, of course, there's no guarantee that it will be successful. It just improves your chances of making sure you don't back a dud. Or you just give me your money and I'll see you in 2 years' time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And first up, we've got Dr. George Morris, who is going to tell us all about Valerix.